Welcome to Nickel City Mafia, where we talk all things Buffalo and then some. Today, we're going to get into why we think the Dolphins are the biggest threat to the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East this year. If you're new to the channel, please comment, like, and most importantly, like I always say, drop a nickel on that subscribe button. It's that easy. Hit that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. Joining me today is a longtime friend, longtime Dolphins fan. Don't hold that against him. He's actually a nice guy. He really is. Is Troy Gregory. Troy, how you doing today, man?
Sup, man? It's kind of early, but hey,
That's early for you, huh? Yeah, we're
anytime to get up and talk about how the Dolphins are going to whoop up on the Bills this year, I'm up for it.
good stuff. Yeah, thank you for joining us. We're out here on the West Coast, so a little early for some of us out here. Don't worry, Mr. Jake Podger will be back next week. He had some things to attend to on this busy Father's Day weekend. So you're gonna have to listen to the old guys this week.
Be
But
careful
Jake
how
will
you
be
use that
back. He
term.
was, yeah, he was bummed that he couldn't make the show, but again, he will be back, and we have some shows planned next weekend. So good stuff here. So Troy, let's get into it. Let's get into why we think these Dolphins are going to be the biggest contender as far as beating taking on the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East. And so let me give a little recap about how the Dolphins have done the last few years under Coach Flores, who's no longer with them, and we'll get into that a little bit. But in 2021, the Dolphins were 9-8. They got off to a slow start. They turned things around when I went to the game last year against the Dolphins in October in Buffalo, and it was 3-3 at half. Troy, I was nervous as hell. I was like, oh my God, I've brought my family out to Buffalo for the first time. My little 9-year-old was at the game with me, and it just wasn't feeling good. And, right before halftime, the Dolphins had like third down at the 12-yard line of the Buffalo Bills, and it was going into half. There was very little time left. They fumbled the ball, fumbled the snap, and it was recovered by the Bills, and that kind of just changed things. I mean, they were easily going to go in at least 6-3, potentially 10-3 at half. But then things turned around, and the Bills, Josh Allen worked his magic, and they ended up winning 26-11. It was a lot closer than that 15-point differential leads you to believe. I know I was, it's hard to sweat in Buffalo in October because it was a little chilly, but I was sweating a little bit there. Definitely worried. But they finished one game out of the playoffs. They finished one game behind the Patriots, who they beat twice last year, Troy.
Yeah.
I mean, they've always played the Patriots tough, even when Brady was there.
Yeah, it was always a good thing when the Dolphins would play them at the end of the season. At the very end of the season, a lot of times the last game of the season, and they would beat the Patriots, and didn't usually make much of a difference to what the Patriots were doing, but it was always a morale lifter to beat the Patriots on that last game as they're trying to go into the playoffs.
Yeah. And then so they were 9-8. They finished right behind the Patriots last year. In 2020, they were in second place, 10-6 again, one game away from making the playoffs. They finished the last game of the year against the Bills, and the Bills knocked them out. But again, another strong year, back-to-back winning seasons. And then in 2019, they were 5-11, and that was the first year of Coach Flores. So you got them to 5-11, and we talked about that even that year, Troy. Their first 7 games, they were 0-7.
Yeah, it was ugly.
He turned things around. They won 5 of their last 9 games, and then that carried over into the 2020 season. And again, they had another winning season last year, just falling short of the playoffs. And then he was fired, Troy. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
And looking back, you can, now that we know who is in place. I mean, I'm very comfortable with the new
McDaniels.
coach, yeah, McDaniels, and happy that he's in the position. But it was a kind of a head shaker for me at the time when they released Flores. In fact, I think I even messaged you at the time and said, "What just happened?"
Yep.
It wasn't like the other times when we knew the coach was going to go. This was kind of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about why he thinks he got fired, and it makes a lot of sense to me. Obviously, there was always disagreements with management because I don't know, it just felt like there was always something going on there between the ownership and him. And what Flores alleges is that in 2019, even though they finished 5-11, and remember they won 5 of those games out of their last 9, that the ownership wanted them to tank. He feels he was fired because, and it started back in 2019, because the ownership wanted them to lose and have a better draft opportunity.
Yeah, and his story is that they offered him $100,000 per loss as a bonus. So whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Yeah, $100K per loss. I mean, still, they had 11 losses. That's a pretty good payday. But if that's the case, so again, if that was, I mean, I don't know. You always talk about it when your team's struggling, and the season's over. I know there's been many times you as a fan of your team might say, you know what, I hope we lose the last couple games just so we can get a better draft position, right?
We want that number 1 guy,
right? But you're not going to put that out there publicly. And the coach, no. how would you say that to your team? Hey guys, we're going to throw this for next year. No, those guys are competitive. They're going to play
especially
hard.
If you're looking at a quarterback and you have a quarterback in there that you've already drafted. You don't want to say to him, you know what, we want you to lose because we want to get this new hot toy as the number 1 pick.
Yeah. So
it doesn't really instill a lot of faith in your starter that you have.
It's definitely was a shocker. Let's just put it that way. When you are a coach for 3 years and you've taken them from 5-11 to 10-6 to 9-8, 2 winning seasons, you just fall short 1 game. The future looks bright, and they let them go.
Now, the 9-8 season last year, they did have that long winning streak at the end. So, I mean, they didn't start off well in the season either, but they ended up winning 7 in a row towards the end of the season and almost making it into the playoffs at that point.
Yeah,
they had a couple of games that they had lost, one in particular to Jacksonville early in the season in London, where Jacksonville got a last-second field goal to win that game. And they shouldn't have got that. I'm still at just don't understand how that ever happened.
Well, let me tell
which I know you can relate to.
Yes, I can relate to. We lost to the Jaguars 9-6, Troy. 9-6. We didn't even put a touchdown on the board against the Jaguars. So the Jaguars, they didn't win many games, but the games they did win last year, including a win against us, your team, and then they basically knocked the Colts out of the playoffs at the end of the season. So,
and I think that were their only 3 wins.
Yeah. So we talked about, again, Flores gone, why he's gone, but let's talk about why we think they're going to be the biggest contender. For me, the Patriots did something. I mean, no one expected them to get to a playoff team last year. They were 7-9 2 seasons ago, obviously without Tom Brady. But again, Bill Belichick, being one of the best coaches there is ever, got that team back to a playoff contender last year. And again, they edged out the Dolphins by 1 game. Dolphins beat them twice. But I don't like what the Dolphins did in the off. I'm sorry, not the Dolphins. I don't like what the Patriots did in the offseason. And no offense to the Patriots fans. I know they're going to be upset if any of them listen to this. But, I mean, they let the top cornerback, J.C. Jackson, go. And they replaced the top cornerback. Now, J.C. Jackson was paid a lot of money. I forget what team he went to. But he was always one of the top corners. They bring back a 32-year-old Malcolm Butler, who was out for a year. I mean, I think Malcolm had basically retired. So they're bringing him out of retirement or bringing him back after a year and expect him to replace a top cornerback like J.C. Jackson. And then the craziest thing, and on draft day, round 1, they take a guard, Cole Strange. And no pun intended, but that was a strange pick to many folks. They had a clip of the Rams coaching staff laughing at that because they're like, man, we thought we could get this guy in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. They take Cole Strange. again, kind of a joke in my opinion, but maybe the joke's going to be on us because again, Bill, these coaches have been doing it forever. Belichick's been doing it forever. He finds talent, and he's always been able to get the best out of these players. He finds players that fits his system and makes it work. So we'll see. But I just wasn't a fan of their draft, other than they did pick a guy in the second round, wide receiver, Taekwon Thornton. Unfortunately, no relationship to me, Troy. This guy.
Is this the reason why you like him? Is because of his name?
The name, but again, he's 6'3", Troy, 182 pounds, and he runs a 4.28.
Wow.
That's Tyreek Hill. I mean, I'd like to see him and Tyreek Hill in a nice 40-yard sprint going against one another. So they added a little bit of a threat there. But
they also picked up Devontae Parker from the Dolphins. The Dolphins, he I don't know whether he was traded or whether he was just cut. I don't know the story behind it, but he ended up in New England.
Interesting.
So that now they have Devontae Parker as well.
And who's the wide receiver coach over on the Dolphins side of things?
Dolphins is a name that we all know very well. Wes Welker is the wide receivers coach.
That's a coach.
That's a nice guy. That's a nice guy to have as your wide receiver coach, especially with the wide receivers that the Dolphins have now.
So based on those moves that the Patriots had in the offseason, I'm moving them back down. I think the Dolphins are going to leap over them again this year. And then let's talk about the Jets briefly. To me, the Jets had arguably the best draft of anyone this year, and the best draft maybe, I don't know, in the last 5 years. They had an incredible draft, Troy. They had a ton of draft choices, and they did a fantastic job of improving themselves both on offense and defense. While I think they're a year away, dude, they're not going to be easy this year. They are not. I do think they're still going to be fourth in the AFC East, but man, there are no gimme games with that team with the talent they added. And what I liked about them is they actually, which is a little different than what I'm going to talk about with the Dolphins here, they actually went after positions where they needed help, also positions that will help them potentially be the contender against the Bills in the near future. All right, so anyhow, we talked about the Jets having a great draft. For me, the way I rank the AFC East will be Buffalo, Miami, Patriots, and then the Jets. All right there, Troy? Still hearing me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
I definitely agree with that.
Okay. So let's get into deeper into the Dolphins here, and let's talk about their changes. So we touched on it earlier. They let Flores go. They brought in a new coach, Mike McDaniels, who is considered one of the ascending offensive minds in the NFL, right? He was the offensive coordinator last year for the 49ers, and man, he was able to design plays for Deebo Samuels, took full advantage of his size and his speed, had him running the ball to the backfield, got him the ball whenever he could. So that has to excite you.
I am super excited about this move because I can just envision the things that he's going to do with Tyree Kill to make sure that Tyreek has the ball. And Tyreek's not the only guy who can take the ball out of the backfield and make those moves. Waddle can do all that stuff in his own right as well. So you have so many threats on the Dolphins offense just in those two wide receivers. Then also you bring in the fact that now they have Cedric Hill from Dallas. And then, of course, you have Gesicki at tight end. Their receiving core is stellar. I mean, it's going to be awesome to watch. And I'm excited to see what McDaniels does with the team that way.
Yeah, I think you got Hill on your mind. You said Cedric Hill. It's actually Cedric Wilson from Dallas.
Cedric Wilson.
I know Tyreek is on at the top of your thoughts there, and I don't blame you.
Everybody on the team is named Hill.
Everybody now. But let's go into that. I mean, Tyreek Hill. Oh my goodness, biggest trade, blockbuster trade, in a very, very long time. I never thought Tyreek Hill would leave Kansas City.
Who needs draft choices?
Right? Who needs draft picks? Yeah, you gave up the farm for him, but I think it was a fantastic move for you guys. Tyreek Hill is an elite playmaker, an elite wide receiver, and He doesn't need much, man. Get him the ball, get him a short dump off, and he can take it to the house. I do want to talk a little bit about Tyree Kill because us Buffalo Bills fans, us Bills Mafia fans, we know exactly what kind of damage this guy can do. So,
13 seconds. That's all I can say.
13 seconds, right? If you look at our 3 second, I'm saying 3 seconds. If you look at our 3 games that we played in regular season against Tyreek Hill, we did a pretty good job. We kept him to 17 receptions for 124 yards, only 7.3 yards per reception, and 0 receiving touchdowns. That was 3 regular season games dating back to 2017, 2020, and 2021. However, in the 2 playoff games, both last year, this previous year, and the year before that, this is where Hill shines. I mean, he combined for 20 receptions on 24 targets for 322 yards, Troy. 16.1 average per reception, and he had 1 receiving touchdown, which was a huge touchdown. It was a 64-yard receiving touchdown in that infamous 13-second game, which I watched the final 2 minutes for the first time since that happened the other night, and it was so painful.
You should have told me. I would have watched it with you. I would have brought some popcorn. It would have been great.
It still hurts, man. Anyhow, this guy is he's a playmaker, Troy, and he's going to change the game. Change the game for you guys. He's a game changer. So yeah, I know you have to be
definitely excited about that.
So
and you know how excited I was when they drafted Waddle.
Yeah.
And what did I tell you the whole time regarding Waddle? I said think of Tyree Kill because he's that type of player. And it proved to be. I mean, just his rookie season, all the catches that he had for his rookie season. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah,
and now you got both of them together.
It's scary. Okay, so I'm looking at that offense of the skill positions. I'm seeing Waddle. I'm seeing Hill. I'm seeing Cedric Wilson. I'm seeing Mike Gesicki. The other area that they focused on in this offseason was their running game. Mm-hmm. They were 30th in rushing last year. Absolutely horrible. And they want to change that this year. Obviously, that's going to help Tua. That's going to help open up the passing game more. And they brought in Chase Edmonds, free agency signing out of Arizona. They brought in Michelle Sony, who played for the Rams and also played for the Patriots. Right, that's where he started. And then they also brought in Raheem Mostert from San Fran, who obviously McDaniels is familiar with. Now, Mostert's coming off a season-ending knee injury last season, so we'll see. But prior to that injury, this guy was a stud. Great running back. So
yeah, absolutely.
They still have Myles Gaskin as well. So now you have 4 deep at that at that running back situation, and obviously Chase Edmonds will probably be that starter, and he brings both he can run the ball, he can catch the ball. You've got some weapons now at the running back. So again, they brought in Hill, Cedric Wilson, focused on the running back to improve that 30th overall rushing attack from last year. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that's going to definitely be an improved area for the Dolphins. And like you said, it's going to give some added, it's going to make Tua that much better if they have that running game. And and we know Sony Michel can catch the ball. So you've got a receiving back. And then, of course, Gaskin can catch the ball as well. So you've got some good receiving backs, nice place for Tua to dump the ball off to. So it's going to be definitely, even though the Dolphins' offense was pretty good last year, I think it's going to be much improved this year.
Yeah, and my biggest question mark for the Dolphins then, when I'm looking at these skilled players, and I'm like, wow, they've really added to this team. But it really starts with that offensive line, right? That offensive line gave up 40 sacks last year, Troy. They almost were responsible for Tua ending Tua's career. Tua took some hits, especially against the Bills in the first Bills game. Yeah, I mean, AJ Epinesa just crushed him and caused him to miss a couple games due to rib injuries. So the question is, did they do anything on that offensive line? You want to talk about that, or you want me to?
You can go ahead. I know
Uh,
that they got the one guy from Dallas, I believe it was
yeah, yeah,
Williams,
yeah. So let me
who
talk about the two that they added. So first of all, they added Taryn Armstead, who's a left tackle from New Orleans, which he's a very, very good left tackle when he's on the field. Last season he missed 8 games. Season before that, I think he was 14 games or so. But prior to that, he had played 10 games, and I think even prior to that, he played 10 games as well. So his availability has been an issue. And so they're going to need him to be better than the 8 games that he was available for last season. But it's a nice add, Troy. When he's on the field,
Mhm.
he's a solid tackle and definitely a big upgrade for the Dolphins. And they also added a nice guard, as you mentioned, Connor Williams from Dallas, who's a very, very good guard, right? He played a guard for left guard for Dallas. The interesting thing, though, Troy, the more I
Mhm.
research, they're wanting him to play center now. He's open
which
for it,
is
and apparently that's where he's going to play.
which is very interesting because he's never played center before. From everything that I can see, I mean, I went back and looked all the way back to his high school days, and I don't see anywhere where he actually played center. So, I mean, they must see something in him at that position in order to take such a great guard and put him at center. But I hope that doesn't say a lot about what their how they felt about what they had for center. Yeah, I mean, I think hopefully this is the year that those former draft picks are going to make everything click. And they're some are in their getting into their third season, so hopefully this season they'll be able to start. They'll mesh together better, and they'll be able to make those plays that they haven't necessarily always made in the past. That's what I'm looking for from the offensive line this year, is for them to take the step to the next level and offer protection to Tua, because let's face it, if Tua goes down, we're in big trouble.
Well, they brought in, I don't know if you're aware of this, they brought in Teddy Bridgewater as a backup,
Yep.
right? And Teddy Bridgewater's been a serviceable quarterback in the NFL, and we know the disrespect that Tua has gotten. I mean, I always feel bad about for this guy, right? This ever since he's been drafted, he's been hearing about the Dolphins wanting this quarterback or this quarterback. I mean, that can't make you feel. It's going to do one of two things. It's either going to put a chip on your shoulder, and you're gonna be like,
hmm
I'm going to go out there and prove to you guys why I'm the right person here, or it's going to hurt your confidence in a big way. You're a fan of Tua, right?
Yeah, the question is that talk just coming from the media and the fan base, or is it actually coming from inside management and all that? I think the Dolphins have done a good job of showing their support for Tua. They've come out and they've said Tua is our guy, and they haven't gone anywhere else. I mean, yes, they've got backups for him, but you have to do that. You have to have, in the NFL, you have to have a high quality backup quarterback to go to, because of the rate of injuries for the quarterback. So it does not surprise me that they have Bridgewater in there. If all the talk is just on the outside of the locker room and not on the inside, that is better for Tua.
Yeah,
If he's
that's
getting
true.
the support from within the organization.
So you feel it was more media
I think
outside
it
the
was more. I think
organization?
it was more media and fan base. Yeah,
Okay, because I had
definitely.
some impression or some. For me,
There
it was
may
feeling
have
like it was
been
coming from
some
the
people.
inside.
Now there were stories, and I don't know how true this was. That before last season, I think it was. I think it was last season, or it might have been this season. I don't know. That Tom Brady was on the yacht of the owner of the Dolphins, and they were talking about trying to get Brady to come to the Dolphins out of retirement instead of going to the Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So, maybe there was some of that in there. I don't know. But I don't know. I know it is true that he was on that yacht, but I don't know how true it is that those discussions were being made and how serious they were.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I hope for
Now that
Tua's
would have been
sake.
an interesting. That would have been interesting if Brady would have come to the Dolphins.
Well, there was also talk of Deshaun Watson, right? That was a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
talk
that
as
was a
well.
big talk, and as turns out, that's a very good thing that they did not take him.
Yeah, I agree there.
I don't even know if he's going to play for um, Cleveland now.
Cleveland, right? So, Troy, when I'm looking at your offense and I'm looking at those skilled positions, the wide receivers and running
Mm-hmm.
backs, most importantly, and I compare them against the Bills, I mean, to me, it's a wash. And
Mm-hmm.
Bills fans may disagree with me, but when you have Waddle and Hill, and I'm looking at Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, kind of a wash to me there. Um, I do give us a little bit of an edge on the slot receiver position. Cedric Wilson is a nice fill there. But we have Jameson Crowder, who came over from the Jets. The
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins know him well, very well. They played him a couple times a year, just like we did.
Yeah.
We also drafted a nice kid, Khalil Shakir, out of Boise State, and he's going to be a nice add at the slot position. And then we got Isaiah McKenzie as well. So I give us a little bit on the edge. Running backs, I look at your running backs and I'm thinking that's a wash there. So where's the real difference? The huge
Josh
difference to
Allen.
me is Josh Allen, right?
Yeah.
So let's
That guy is a beast.
So let's look at
That's
last
all I
year's
can say
stats real
about him.
quick. Yes, in 2021, of course, they gave me the 19 games he played in. He threw for over 5,000 yards, 45 touchdown passes, 15 interceptions. He's not just a passing threat, Troy. He's a running threat as well. He ran for 897 yards, 6 touchdowns rushing. Now let's
And I
look
think
at.
he must have been a hurdler in college, right?
I don't know.
Because the way that he hurdles players.
I know, right? You would think so. Let's look at Tua's stats from last year. So he played in 13 games. Obviously, like I said, he got dinged up a few times. That offense wasn't protecting him. Played 13 games, threw for 2,653 yards, which was just an average of 6.8 yards, per throw. 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Ran the ball for 128 yards rushing, and he had three rushing touchdowns and 9 fumbles. So that to me, and that segues nicely into this next thing. Your biggest problem beating the Buffalo Bills is Josh Allen.
Absolutely.
And
without a doubt.
So what have you done on the defense, right? To me, if I'm a team trying to beat the Bills, I should be focusing. I know they did a lot of stuff on offense, but I should be focusing on my defense. And let me give you some other stats here, Troy. Josh Allen is 7-1 against the Miami Dolphins. 7-1. I mean, he's thrown for 21 touchdowns. He's had a passer rating of 106.8 against them. He's got 48 carries for 438 yards. He has owned the Dolphins. You know, the only loss that he had, Troy, was in his rookie season against you in his first game against the Dolphins. He then beat him later on.
You know what the Dolphins are going to say for this year? We've got him just where we want him. That overconfidence is going to kick in.
You think so?
I can't even say that with a straight face.
Well, I will say this.
Yeah. He has definitely had the Dolphins number, but the Dolphins teams. I mean, nothing against Josh Allen, but also the Dolphins teams have not been that strong over the last couple of years. I mean, yeah, they have had 2 winning seasons, but what did they have to do to get there? They had to make, last year they had to win 7 games in a row at the end of the season just to get to 9-8, right?
Yeah.
The year before, 10-6, I think that was a legit season. And I can't remember how those games, I know they lost both of them to the Bills. And probably handily, because that's the way they seem to lose to the Bills. They don't like to lose the close ones. But so it'll be interesting to see if the Dolphins are improved as much as we hope they will be, how the season will work out. Did they make enough changes on the defense? That is yet to be seen. I mean, across the board, it doesn't look like there's many changes that have been made. So what you have to hope is that those players that are still there have are able to bring it up to the next level. I mean, they had Holland at safety, who had a phenomenal rookie season. Can he take
Yeah.
it up a notch?
Yeah.
That is a question. Xavier Howard is still there, which was good. They signed him to an extension in April, so that was good to hear that he was going to remain on the Dolphins, because there was talk that he was going to leave. And that would have been bad. And then I know we've talked about their edge rushers. Who was the one? Refresh my memory, because I'm losing my mind right now. Who they drafted? It was Phillips, right? Last year.
Yeah, Jalen Phillips. So Jalen Phillips was the number one edge rusher taken in the draft last year. And an interesting story about him, both Gregory Rousseau, who was the Bills' first round pick last year, they both went to the University of Miami. And Jalen Phillips came in the year that Rousseau took off for COVID. Jalen Phillips transferred to the University of Miami, was a star there, and was the first edge rusher taken in the draft last year. It didn't transfer to the field, at least in his first year.
No, he underperformed all season long. Towards the end of the season, he started coming on. So hopefully he can build on that. I mean, he's not even listed as a starter at this point, but hopefully he can build on that and turn out to be the player that they want. That would make a big difference for the Dolphins defense if that happens.
Yeah, I've been watching some shows. I watch mostly the Bills shows in the off season, but I've caught some stuff on the Dolphins, and they're liking what they're seeing in OTAs, at least OTAs that just ended, and the camps that are going on. And they're liking what they're seeing. He's coming in. He was always in great shape. The kids, I mean, I can only wish to be in that type of shape. But he's in great shape.
Even in our prime, right?
Yeah, even in our prime. Oh my goodness. And there was a reason why he was taken as the number one edge. So if he can step it up, you're right. That's a big add. So let me just back up a little bit. Looking at who they added, like again, to me, I got to stop Josh Allen. What am I going to do? I look across the board. I don't see any changes other than their add of Melvin Ingram. Now, Ingram he's a good player, and I actually wanted the Bills to pick him up. I knew he was a free agent. He played with the Steelers in Kansas City last year, and I wanted to pick him up. This was until I knew we were picking up Von Miller. I didn't think we'd had a chance in hell to get Von Miller. But so at that point, I'm like, man, we should bring over Ingram. Now, Ingram played with the Chargers for many years, played with the Steelers last year in the opening game against us, and had a big sack against us. And then he played in the Kansas City 13-second game. So he was traded to Kansas City during the season, and we had to face him twice. And he's always been a good pass rusher, Troy. He had injury issues early on with the Chargers, but he seems to have gotten past that, and it's a good ad for you. But other than that, there's nothing else I saw that you guys did on defense other than what you said. Can Jalen Phillips step up and be that edge guy? They have very good. I mean, they have Agba, defensive end, edge rusher. He's solid player, and so from the defensive line, I think they're fine. Where they've struggled against, and Josh Allen's numbers shows it, is that secondary.
Oh yeah.
So
even though they have great guys back there,
yeah. Now they can obviously pass rush, because that's what we're saying on our Bills as well. Pass rush can help everybody. So if they can get a better pass rush, obviously that helps the secondary tremendously. And their linebacking core,
as long as you can contain Josh Allen.
Well, that's the other thing too.
The pass rush isn't all you have to do.
He can extend plays, exactly. So that makes it so difficult. So the Dolphins, they were 16th overall in defense last season, so middle of the pack.
Middle of the pack.
But and I believe losing Brian Flores, is kind of a blow. I mean, he was a defensive-minded coach, right? And although I'm hearing that McDaniels is keeping the continuity with the defensive side of things on the team this year, so the coaching staff there hasn't changed too much. So that's a good thing. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to me. I think McDaniel gives the edge for the offense. I think he's going to take the offense to another level. But we'll see how that defense can improve. And that's the only way, Troy, to me, that they have a shot at the beating the Bills.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the offense isn't the issue. It all comes down to the defense and whether they can stop the Buffalo Bills, and in particular Josh Allen. That's the only way you're going to be able to get a foothold, try to get ahead of the Bills, is by taking care of Josh Allen.
Now, you can argue, Troy, that having a better offense will help them as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, longer, sustained drives,
Mm-hmm.
more points on the board. Heck, maybe they're just thinking we're just going to go blow to blow on the offensive side here, and we'll put up like 42 to 35.
Hey, that'll be exciting games for us to watch, won't it?
Very exciting
As a
games.
fan, that's going to be fantastic.
But Troy, I got to tell you, I mean, we were the number one defense. The Bills were the number one defense last year. Inflated a little bit because we did have what many consider a softer schedule. And obviously, when you say you have the number one defense and you saw what happened in that 13-second game, you're like, was that really a number one defense? But we at least addressed some of those things. We knew we needed better pass rushers. We knew we needed to get to the quarterback more. And we brought in Von Miller, one of the best there is at doing that, Troy. He's coming off a Super Bowl victory with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
We get him. Oh, my goodness. And then we go after a cornerback in the first round, Kaiir Elam, who is a stud. So we kind of addressed a couple areas. And plus, we also revamped our interior line a little bit on the defense side of things, as well as on the offensive side. We even improved on our line. So the Bills are just kind of just adding these pieces, Troy. And while other teams are trying to catch up to them in the East, the Bills keep moving up. So again, it's gonna be a challenge. I think the like you said, defense needs to step up, and that offense is gonna have to help them out. They're gonna have to keep the ball away from Josh Allen, and they're gonna have to put up points. And I think they're gonna be. I don't think we'll see a defensive struggle game between the Dolphins and the Bills, unless when the Dolphins come in December, and we got some crazy weather like we did when we played the Patriots last year, and they beat us in that game where freaking Mac Jones only had to throw the ball 3 times. Troy, what's the last time you heard of a team throwing the ball 3 times in today's NFL and winning a game?
Nope, doesn't happen.
It was just ridiculous. Anyhow, here, let's see. Did I have any other points? I will say this too. Even though their defense was in the middle of the pack last year, Flores, the defensive unit posted the 3rd highest pressure rate. Now, that might not have converted to sacks, but that's pressures. Mm-hmm. And 7th lowest quarterback rating, which was 85.4. So, again, it's going to be interesting to see without Flores there. But McDaniels didn't change those other coaches, those coaches that are the defensive coordinator. So
keeping that consistency there.
Yeah. And having that team, there is something to be said about a unit staying together for another year. Having everyone back, having everyone playing on the same system.
And that's what I was saying was, let's see what the them being together for another year has helped the defensive unit and how they come out. I was just looking to see who the defensive coordinator was for the Dolphins, a gentleman by the name of Josh Boyer. I don't know a lot about him, but so it's just a matter of, hey, now we're together another year. Everybody's going to step it up a little bit better. Maybe the coaches are seeing something in the team that they didn't feel they necessarily had to go after anybody. I don't know. I guess we'll see in a few weeks.
Well, I think their mind shifted. Their mindset shifted after the trade for Tyreek Hill. You guys had a bunch of draft choices coming up. You traded them away as part of that Tyreek Hill deal. So if that doesn't go down, I still think they take a top wide receiver, but I think they also go after more probably defensive side of ball, add a little more depth there. But we'll see. I mean, so Troy, that pretty much wraps up all we have to say here. But again, I think we've presented our case as to why the Dolphins are going to be that contender in the AFC East over.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be. Hopefully, they can get off to a better start than they have for the last couple of years.
That's key.
I think they'll be 3-0 after the 3rd game,
which is He's saying that because that's when they play the Bills the third week of the season. So at the worst, they're going to be 2-1 after three weeks.
So yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. They definitely need to get off to a better start than they have in the last couple of years. Defense needs to step it up, become a better team, and everybody just needs to gel. And hopefully, the offensive unit with the new additions, everybody can gel well, and they can have a nice offensive team as well. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think the Dolphins will be improved. I do think they will probably make the playoffs this year after missing it narrowly the last couple of seasons.
Yep.
And the biggest hurdle for the Dolphins now within the division, of course, is the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen in particular.
Yeah, I agree. With McDaniels coming over, with all the offensive weapons they have, even if that offensive line struggles to some degree, McDaniels is just going to get the ball out of his hands quickly.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he doesn't need to be dropping back, staying back there 4 or 5 seconds. He's going to get dropped back and dump that ball off quickly to those great speedy receivers.
Imagine this: 2 backs in the backfield. Those 2 backs, Jalen Waddle, Tyree Kill.
Hey, he did it with Deebo Samuel. They're not quite as big of a player as Deebo, but he's going to work out plays. He's going to do.
But I'm saying you're going to have both of them back there at the same time.
It wouldn't.
That would be cool.
It wouldn't surprise me. But they spent all this money on getting some good running backs as well. So
yeah. No, I'm not saying they're going to do it all the time, but that's going to be in the works. That's going to be one of the plays.
Absolutely. So again, I think the biggest question marks for them, for me, is their offensive line. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're gonna plan well for Tua. They're gonna get the ball out of his hands quickly. So I think that'll help things. And we already know what type of plays that Waddle and Hill can do. Just give them the ball, screen pass, 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, they can take it to the house. Defense is a big question mark for me when you talk about Josh Allen. But again, they're together, and I think they're gonna definitely make the playoffs this year. I think they're obviously gonna be second place in the East and go from there. So good stuff. Hopefully we proved our point. I'd love to hear from anyone who watches the show. It's Saturday during the off season. I don't know. I think I see one person watching the show today. I don't know who that is, but thank you for watching the show today.
It's probably your dad.
It might be my dad. It might be my son. We get a lot of family support on this channel. But that's kind of it, Troy. I want to thank you again. I want to wish you a happy Father's Day, and all the fathers out there. I want to say happy Father's Day tomorrow. Enjoy your weekend. Jake and I will be back next week with some shows. We're going to talk about the offensive line and our running back situation. But I appreciate you, Troy. It was a lot of fun to do this, and we'll probably be talking to you during the season.
Oh, absolutely!
On those pregame shows when the Bills play the Dolphins.
You guys can gang up on me 2-on-1.
Oh, absolutely! We love doing that. All right, buddy. Take care. Thanks again, everyone out there. If you're new to the channel, make sure you drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us. We greatly appreciate it. And like and comment. We would love to hear comments. Love to hear what you guys think of. I know the Patriot fans are going to be mad at us, Troy. I know they are. It's okay.
Of course.
Prove your point to me. Tell me why you're going to be better than the Dolphins. Tell me why you're going to be better than the Bills. But all right. Take care, everyone. Bye now.